Hey, everybody, and welcome to Elemental Leadership, where holistic health and leadership meets. So thrilled. Thank you for being you and allowing me to go on this journey with you and to join you in your leadership journey where you're doing so in a holistically healthy way. I am definitely speaking that into existence for you right now. And you'll get to experience how this is totally possible for you. So, I would love to welcome you to the perfect playground. The perfect playground is where there's only one rule, and that rule is that you get to play. Yes. What is play? It's going to be standing for the potential and learning about yourself. Yes, your beautiful, glorious, perfect self. Okay. And because it is play, that's just one meaning, where it's also an experience. So make sure that you have your playbook handy, that the link has already been posted and shared. We'll put it also in the chat for you in case you didn't see it. And you're going to whip that out because you're going to need that sucker. So you have a little time because we're actually going to do a little bit of a warm up right here, right now. So grab something that's in your space right now, something immediate within around you. Just grab it. Okay. Now I'm going to ask you to imagine and think about the processes that were all involved to get it to you right there in your hand. Okay. I'm going to grab something. Let's grab something because then I'll play with you on this. How about that? So we'll bring in little baby Grogu, baby G, as I call him. Now, when you thought about those processes involved, what did you come up with? You can let me know in the chat, like, what is it that you thought about? Were there any feelings that came up? Were there any memories that came up? Who was it that came to mind? So for myself, what I'll do is I'll say, yeah, sure, here's baby G. He's so adorable, isn't he? But when I think about all of what it took, it took someone to even create the character, to have that thought for him, right? It took a whole franchise, Star Wars and all of them. It took people. Actually, matter of fact, it's made in Vietnam. So the lovely people in Vietnam that also put the parts and put it together, right? We have all of those associated at Lucasfilm. We have Funko that was also involved in the production and the sales of them, right? You have the voice of him, right? Now, even with those materials, we even can take a look at, what was the essence, the core of even those materials as they came into play, right? Was there some water, so some steam involved, the heat, the fire, all of that? So many people that were even operating the machinery that was driving the trucks, that were flying the planes. So much was involved in creating this little thing that I just smile at all the time. And especially when I just do this. So what we get to see is just that. It took so many people and so many processes for it to all come to you at this present time. And with that, we also attach meaning to it. So this serves as a lovely reminder of it being a gift to me. Somebody knows that I love him and just got it. And I was like, yeah, she's going to love this, small as it is. Okay. What does this also represent? You'll see that it's the same for your whole body self. So just like what it is that you picked up that was around you, you got to explore. And I gave you some examples. I went really deep, right? So for you, you probably may not have even been thinking about that, but now you are thinking about it. Like just how much it is that's involved for a lot of things that's brought to us in our environment. Each piece plays a role to the whole. So that's exactly what it is for you in your whole body self. We get to explore the pieces that all play a role into the whole that is you. So, real briefly, I do want to let you know a little bit about myself as I'm guiding you on this journey as your host and your guide. I'm Denicia Hilton Harper, and I'm a doctor of Eastern medicine and a holistic well-being consultant. Also, the founder of the My Soul Says collection. Um, I just want to see, like, are we pals? These are my values right here, laid right out. And that I do believe in perfection. I do believe that all of us are whole and complete. And I do believe in play. And we can do that, especially when there's some serious healing that ain't got to be so serious. I thoroughly believe in authenticity, whether that's mine, but also bringing that out in other people. I just happen to see a way of doing so when it comes through the lens of the body and what shows up in the form of symptoms and conditions in order to be able to guide people to bring that authentic self out of them. I also believe in liberation. When you're able to do these through perfection, play, and authenticity, you will experience liberation that is beyond what you could ever imagine. When you are able to do and incorporate and express that, then it is the liberation to be who you are, the liberation and the freedom and the ability to do what it is that you're here to do in your unique way as your unique purpose. And then the spirituality aspects of it, and that I do believe that we are all here. Connected to one another. We're not in silos. Whatever it is that I may do is thoroughly going to impact somebody that's 5,000 miles away. And Baby G was an example of that, right? So, in what ways is it that we're always connected to others and in the collective? And what quality am I going to add to that? So, once again, it's an honor to join you and to guide you in this. And we're going to keep on going. So, what's happening today? We're going to really be taking an exploration of that whole body self. Now, think about this as a surface level. We're going to be just trucking along, right? And I'm going to point out some things. This is where you're going to want to have that playbook handy or have a notepad handy. And I'm just going to kind of be letting you know about some of those insights that's available to you when it is that you incorporate the physical body and seeing what it is, those insights that come to you in the form of how does this apply to my leadership, right? How does this apply to my holistic health? Where oftentimes in like programs, coaching programs, or we're learning about entrepreneurship and all of that jazz, right? But there's such a focus on the actual business aspect of it. And what I saw is that, wow, I'm really bringing in a lot of these women that actually have their own businesses, some of which are still working in a corporate position and they have their business on the side, others full-time in their business. Either way, they're entrepreneurs. But what it was that I was seeing was that in all of those trainings, the health part is considered an afterthought. And some even open their businesses because of health concerns. And then also, say you're a full-time entrepreneur, and then some are like, well, I had this health concern come up, and there's some issues with even access to healthcare. So, what it is that I would like to do and how it is that I bring this in is really because I would love to introduce you to a way that you can start to see your body a little bit differently so that you can kind of get to see what those influences are that's playing a role into what you're experiencing. So then that way, as you can play with that and you can actually begin to explore like what are those root influences, then to me, that's how it is that you can be sustainable. That's how it is that you realize that you do have access to care, right? And it also gives you a little bit more clarity as to, all right, if I got to go out and reach out to somebody, and invite them onto my team, right? You're only usually thinking about the team for the business, but to your health team as well, right? This is what I'm going to need. This is what I'm looking for. So that way you have that clarity as you're moving forward in it. Okay. So we're really going to be looking at how it's all tied together, the health and the leadership aspects. They cross right over. There's a little intersection. I usually say that we're going to be playing at that intersection. Okay. So as you see, we have the emotions, we have our environments, which are also internal and external, your attitude, your thoughts, the physical body, the beliefs, the spirituality, or your values, feelings, all of those come together, right? And then they get packaged up to be you. Yes, indeed, you. And then what you realize is leadership is you. Okay. So if we can at this moment, we're going to really get into this even more so. So please allow me to introduce you to you. So how we're going to do that? Whip out your handy dandy playbook and we're going to take a few minutes. You're going to go through each of those sections. All you're simply doing is reading the statement. If you think it applies to you, just check it off. Okay. Don't overthink it. And this is why we're not going to spend that much time on that, because yeah, literally, if it jives with you, it jives with you. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So just kind of like feel it in your spirit. It's like, I read that statement. Yes, this is me. Check. There's no judgment here. It is what it is. Okay. The more honest you are with yourself, then the better it's going to be when it comes to actually being able to take in the rest of the info that I'm going to give you. So you want to just go with the gut, answer it, and check it. And then for each section, you're going to write that total number that you got. Okay. So I will sit here, allow you to do that for a couple of minutes as you go through it. Once again, don't overthink. It's just whatever pops up. Just checking in with you. You got a little bit longer than a minute left. There are 5 sections there. So just like I said, just read through them. If it automatically clicks, it clicks, and then just move right on. Just a few more seconds, about 20 seconds, and then we're going to go ahead and review what you found. All right. Awesome sauce. So if you're working on it, that's fine. We're going to just keep going though. Everything will be good. You'll see that there are actually some areas there for you to take notes as well. Okay. All right. So we're actually going to review the first, excuse me, we're actually going to review it now, right? And so we're going to whip out our Viewmasters. Yes, I took it way back, old school, if you know what these are. So if you don't know what these are, it was this really cool toy where you got to actually like put those little slide, I don't even know what they want to call them, but like little slides with like pictures on them and stuff like that. And then you put it into the or to the red thingy, the viewfinder. And then like you could like put it up like binoculars, but you got to see the pictures. Then you press a little orange lever and it was like, and then it switched because you see it's all in circles. And so we're actually gonna whip out our Viewmaster. And each of those circle discs is going to be for each of the elements as we explore them. Okay. So, actually, what I would like to do is for you to look at when you total up, you're going to actually look and see, okay, which ones, how do your numbers lie, right? Like, so do you want to go ahead and rank them? You can if you would like to. As you rank them from the most checks and then to the least, then you can do that section by section, right? So on the sections, I'm actually going to let you know which ones you're going to write in. So for section 1, you're going to write in that one is metal. For section 2, we're going to write in earth. For section 3, we're going to write in fire. For section 4, we're going to write in wood. For section 5, we're going to write in water. Okay. So these are like not necessarily in any particular order for you, but you're just writing those down. So then that way, as I go through each of them, you have your space, you'll realize to be able to write the notes for each of them. Okay. So we're going to actually move right on in, and there's space at the top for you to write your rankings in if you would like to do so. So whipping out our Viewmaster, let's go. So let's start with fire. As I'm talking, you're going to hear me speaking between self and career, right? We're also looking at it from the state of what's under demonstrating and what's over demonstrating. And then also, what are some ideas of support? So then that way there is this harmony that is within each of the elements. Okay. So when you hear me saying like over and under demonstrating, what it is I'd like you to see that this element is a part of you, right? It's an archetype. We're looking at all of these as archetypes. So what that means is there's like a set of characteristics that all they come together and it's like, that one's very much so a little bit more like this element style. And this one's a little bit more like that element style. Okay. No element is better than the other. And we'll actually see why later on. But for right now, what we're doing is we're seeking. So remember just how there were the pieces that make up the whole. Within each of the pieces, we're actually now going to even see that there's pieces within those pieces. Okay. And so when I say seeking harmony, or if it's under or over demonstrating, then that's what it is that I'm looking at is what's this healthy expression of this particular element. And so we are looking at that. What's this healthy expression of the fire? And what does that look like? And when it's not healthily being expressed, what does that look like? Because those are going to be your keys. That's the info that you're looking for. That's when you're like, oh, snap. This isn't exactly expressing the way that it's supposed to be expressing, and so it's acting out, right? So sometimes let's think about that as like when it comes to kids, right? Like that you could sit there and be like, oh Lord Jesus, they acting out. When really what it is they have something they're trying to share. They just don't know how to share it and communicate it. So they're doing it in the best way that they know how. So we get to see that happening when it comes to the elements. Okay. So with the fire, here we go. We're going to jam right on in. I'm going to spend a few minutes with each one so that you can write your notes out and all of that jazz. And then also, I do want to say this, just be in a place that whatever comes to you and sticks out to you for you to write your notes, that's what it is for you. Okay. So try not to be so hard on yourself if you don't get everything. These are going to be made available for you afterwards anyway. So just honor that whatever is going to come to you is coming to you as it is right now. And that's just it. Okay. So with fire, we're looking at this. We're thinking about literally fire in and of itself. When you see it burning, it can burn and be so bright, right? It can be so mesmerizing. It even has a little bit of a dance on its own, right? That's the charm that you're seeing from it. That is like the heat. It can ignite. It's an activator. We see this in a way that it is inspiration can really come through fire. The creativity can come through fire. Fire is fast moving. So then even then with it, when this archetype is really playing out, they can be very much so a little bit, I want to say a little bit more extroverted. And I say that a little bit hesitantly because there are introverts that, those who identify as being introverted, that this archetype can be predominant for them. Okay. Myself included. And what it is that you can actually almost in a way like connect with other people. Um, there is this like, there's an ability to take things, be inspired, to actually encourage and get other people to get moving, right? But you're doing it in a way that's like through the personable side, right? It's a little bit different than the wood, and getting people activated and moving. When this is out of whack, when the fire is not really healthily being expressed, just like natural fire, it will burn out. Okay. So these people tend to be a little bit fast moving. Okay. It's like, oh, they have an idea. They're going to move. They're going to do this and do that. They're the ones that even ideas kind of like jump from this to that, to this to that, and everything else. Right. And the thing is actually when you're in that in a healthy state, it's beneficial and it's totally okay to be jumping from idea to idea or thought to thought. It's a part of your processing. When it's too much in the under over demonstrating part, that's where it is that you'll see things like insomnia. You'll feel this extra burnout. It's because you just went a little bit too far, right? And it's all in learning. It's all in a feed forward loop. Okay. Usually you hear it as a feedback loop. I like to look at it as a feed forward loop. You're just gathering information. And as you do it, as you be in this, you learn more, you evolve, and then you continue. Right. So what it is the burnout. You'll start to feel like it'll happen. But then as you evolve and start to learn what your cues are, then you're actually going to realize like, oh, now the burning out is kind of like it's spread out, right? Sometimes the burnout and in this place, people talk about it as if it's such a negative thing. But actually, I see it as like, oh, you were that into what you were doing, right? That it was like blinders on, I'm going for it. And that's boom, that's it. And it's like, whoa, you're really into it. And that is your jam. And that's cool. Because the thing is if you can see where it is that your passion is and you're just like going for it. So there's a subtle difference here. If you're very passionate about it, and the projects, and it could be anything like for the self, or it could be within business, and you are just going full speed ahead, right? Like the thing is, and this is where it hits in the under and over demonstrating, is that sometimes in that haste of moving so quickly, there are smaller details and things that you might miss. Okay. And so it's where it is that you might want to invite someone else in to take a look at things. They might see some things that you aren't seeing. This is where you want to add that those type of people on your team. You're going to see this later on, who I'm talking about. That's going to be able to look at those. They can take your idea. So some people with this predominating archetype tend to see, or they say like, they're like, I just can't get things done. And the thing is when this is so predominating for you, it is going to be challenging to get it done. Because why? Your natural state and being is in the ideation, it is in the envisioning, it is in the visualization. You see it from the whole. And you're like, oh, this would be awesome. That is your position. Okay. So when you're also thinking like, who do I hire? Who do I bring on? Right. And even in my own holistic health team, like, who do I need? Right. Like, that's where it is. You can see nothing is wrong with you in the completion of things. Once again, you're not a silo, you're not by yourself. So, that's your strength, is being able to see things from that perspective. So that's how it is you can add that support. Start realizing what your rhythms are. If you're in a state of go, 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 which can happen, and there are influences that impact that. So it's not just about the archetype, but there's other influences such as the moon, where you're at in your menstrual cycle, and some other things as well. So that's other things that I teach. But like, it's even those influences that'll play a role. And so it's realizing like, oh, I'm like this right now. And then when you start to feel the slowing down, don't feel guilty that you're slowing down. Allow the slowing down to happen, because it will, just like a fire, it'll get really, really bright and then burn, burn, burn high. And then it'll just kind of come down until some more kindling is on there, right? And then it'll go up again. So it's meant to do that. So you don't have to always be thinking that it has to be go, go, go. And then also what that passion might look like comes in different shapes. So be aware of that. The passion, the charming, the speaking with other people, the coming up with ideas, it may take different forms. So at some time you might be more willing to be like actually in a group, networking with people, meeting people. But then there's other times that this is going to show up where it's just you by yourself, and you whip out your notebook and you're just jamming out ideas, right? And so you can see that it will play in different ways. And so you want to just take a look at that. This type also might have several different types of interests. So your hobbies and whatnot can change. The way that you physically move for exercise can change. So allow that change to happen. Okay. Be aware of longer term commitments. This type may not like actually be able to commit to longer term things. So even if there's programs and they're like, it's a year long, if you feel an inkling of a cringe, that means that you really may need something that's a shorter time period. When you're developing your own services and offerings, see where it is that as a time period that you can accommodate more easily to you. Right? It's perfectly okay to do something that's 4 weeks, just as much as it's perfectly okay for someone to offer something for a year. The idea here is that you're going to be listening to the body. And like I said, it's some insomnia issues. It might be some dryness. You're going to have sometimes as well that it's going to be like you can hear it in a way that you're speaking. So sometimes it's even speaking too quickly, and people can't keep up with you and whatnot. That can actually be a little bit of an over demonstration of this. But then also it's paying attention to caffeine. If it's really, really getting to you, then you might want to start a process to wean it down. Okay. Because that can be over drying. And so there's a type of dryness, type of constipation that can be with this. Urination patterns will be drier, meaning not as frequently, but then also darker. Okay. There could be a lot of heat that's happening and coming on. The heat rises. So it'll affect things that come in the upper body. So moving right along, we're going to move on into Earth. The earthy people. And with this archetype, right? When you think about Earth, you're thinking about natural Earth. When it's in its harmonious state, Earth is such a provider, right? Such a nurturer, and willing and always like taking care of others. And you see this happening with this archetype. These are the people that are going to want to take care of other people. You can see that it happens with the family. They're over doting. They're doing all of this. I'm going to plan this. Let me do that. We have the holidays. Everybody come over. You know, when it comes into business and the way that you're showing up there, it's, oh, I'm just going to love on my clients. I'm going to love on the patients. And I'm going to create all of these because I just want to take care of everybody, right? They're volunteering a lot because they want to like really show that they care, right? And the thing is, they're doing it in a physical way. They may not be the ones that are actually like saying things, but you'll see them kind of like be out there and like bringing things together. The thing is that when that happens in a way that it's not harmonious anymore, it becomes an under over demonstration, then that's when it is you're going to start to see patterns popping up, such as like the weight might pop up. There's a type of depression that may show up with this type because they're doing so much for other people. But then there's a certain type of anxiety that pops up for this type because they're constantly worrying about other people. The thing is that the digestion may slow down because there's so much that they're trying to digest from the outside going in, because they're trying to see, well, what can I do for this? That it impacts the digestion physically. So it's digesting information, but then also digesting physically that they're going to be competing. And I guess to the point that the body's like, I'm not going to really do either one of those, right? Like, and they just kind of slow down. So with them, then this is where it is that they might need others on their side that's gonna like be the one that says, hey, did you eat? Hey, can you go ahead and take a break? Also, these are the ones that's going to be totally awesome at having the those are some characteristics of like a VA, maybe that they invite in, right? Or a nanny or a housekeeper, because they're so busy doing that, like they may not do this stuff for themselves. So you want to just have those things in mind when it comes to eating. You want to avoid some of the like fried foods and dairy, especially because those kind of add on to the slowing of the digestion. So you might want to mix in a little bit of some spice of like some ginger, some cinnamon, right, into your food as you're cooking. Try to go a little bit more with the vegetables, and try a variety of colors when it comes to the vegetables. Moving on, we got our metal. So with the metal, we think about literally metal. It is just there, right? It's there. Doesn't bend unless you apply a lot of heat and pressure, right? And that's exactly how it is that this archetype shows up. They are very, very so much into like, this is the order of things. This is the way it's supposed to go. We got to do A, then B, then C, then D. They can be somewhat inflexible when it comes to how it is they see things. And the thing is that when that can happen, they might limit themselves. Okay. So this is where it is, the type of support is actually having around you other people that might see things from a different perspective. And it's on you to at least be open to seeing it from that perspective, because perhaps whatever process and system that you can come up with, it might even be better. Right. This is also where this type can be so much into their own system that they tend to like miss some other things, like include, so it's like you want to include why it is that other people might want it. But this type is so great, like I mentioned earlier, like a fiery type might want to have a metal type predominant person, because they're the ones that's going to be able to help complete the things that you have the ideas for, and they're just going to put those structures together. Oh, actually, let me go back and say, for support, it's really looking at ways that you can invite flexibility. And that might be in the physical form of flexibility. So yoga and Pilates, stretching, trying something different. Like these people tend to be very routinized. So like maybe one day a week, you're like, I'm going to actually just go and try this. And you just break out of that routine and you invite something new in, and you might actually see that you enjoy it, right? So these people are also prone to constipation. That's more related to just being so rigid. It's very difficult to let things go. So if things actually are changing, and they might be changing a lot, it's okay. So this is where you might want to think about like a breathwork type of ritual that allows and welcomes change, positions you in a way that it allows change to happen. Okay. And offering grace to yourself and to others as to that change. Okay. As we switch it on over, we're going to move into water. And with water, oh, when you think about water, it just free flows, right? You can really look into it and you can see the depths of it, depths in these ponds and the lakes and in the rivers. This is that type of archetype. They're almost in a way like introverted to introverted, right? Like they can really be to themselves. They're so introspective. And at the same time, they're the ones that can really see things from such a depth that, say, someone who's on the fiery side may not see. So fiery is really seeing it from above, and water is really seeing it from like within, right? This type, you'd want to explore this. They can move a little bit slower, and moving slower is fine. But the thing is on that over under demonstration side of it, this is where it is that you do want to take some time and just see, ooh, am I too slow? Where it can come in the form of depression. They can close off and be so inward that it can show up as that type of depression. So this is where it is you want to have those people on the outside that can see that happening, say, hey, what you doing? Let's go to the cafe or something like that. And then it's on you to kind of be aware that that's what they're picking up on. And then they just want to check on you. They just want to bring that out of you. But when it comes to a team, you need that. You need someone who's going to take something and really introspect on it, see how it really works, and then go from there. Switching it up, we got our wood. So with the wood, this energy, you think about trees, okay? The tree and the weeds, they're going to grow wherever they want to grow. They break concrete and all of that. And this type of person is that take charge type of person. So the difference between this one and the fire type when it comes to moving people is that this one's going to be a little bit more forceful. So the thing is when it's too much, then it's going to be pushing people away. So with wood, it's finding that harmony of, all right, I know that I can activate movement, but I'm going to do it in a way that does not necessarily push people out of the way or make them afraid of me. But this is also the one that could be so take charge and so go, go, go that they have to learn when to retreat. So just like how you'll see some flowers and some trees, they retreat in and then they'll come out. That's the practice. That's the art. And so these people, when they're out of harmony, they're going to get headaches, and the headaches tend to be at the top of the head. They might get bright red eyes. Also, they might be stiff. Okay. When they want to move, but they can't move. And then people are just like, they can't, they just feel so frustrated. This is the wood that's coming out. The wood wants to move. So these people may be the types to over exercise, and it's literally because they're trying to get the movement. So while you're physically moving, see where it is that you can be mentally and emotionally moving, because you might be stagnating yourself on that. Okay. So you get to see that it's all about the relationship. So as we come into a close, you're going to see here that we look at them, the five elements, fire, earth, metal, water, and wood, in this way. But then also, switching it up, we look at it this way, where earth is in the middle and it supplies nourishment to those that are around. Then we could switch it up again, and you'll actually get to see when it comes to leadership. Leadership, my favorite definition is to put one first. So therefore, it's you that's in the middle of all of this. All right. And so you'll get to see, and as you heard me talking about it, when they're not harmonized, working together, this is when we see things popping up, such as hormone disharmonies, digestive issues, sleep irregularities, low energy, fatigue, anxiety, depression, anger, body pain. But what do they all have in common? It's that the holistic health disharmony is strongly associated with not being in environments to express your authentic self. So with all of that, what can you do to harmonize? Intentionally design environments that's internal and external. If it's herbs, if it's supplements, if it's food, if it's meditation, if it's Pilates, whatever it might be, right? If it's a different type of office space, is it virtual space? Is it physical space? Different car, home, whatever it is for the environment, is make sure that it's conducive to bringing out those strengths, and especially with people, that they're also a part of your environment to create sustainable energy and holistic health. So, being more specific with 3 steps. 1, offer yourself grace. This is all a journey, okay? Your healing is a journey, it's not a destination. So, offer yourself grace along the way. Right? 2, implement some of the support tips from today that I talked about. And you can start with whichever one you feel you want to start with, or you can just start with the one that had the highest ranking because that's the most predominating right now. 3, putting it all together. You are so welcome to go deeper with what your body is telling you about your authentic self, match game, and mini course. The details for that are in your playbook. So you can hop right in there. It's just this free match game and mini course. I had some fun putting that together for you to go a little bit deeper. So I would love to say welcome again, but this time, welcome to your elemental leadership, where you can proudly declare, I am whole, I am complete, I am perfect. Thank you all again for letting me join you. I'm Denicia Hilton Harper. Feel free to connect with me here on LinkedIn, and here's my email. Perfect deal and blessings, y'all.
Denicia!
Hey,
Hi, how are you?
good, chilling.
Really? That was so good. So good. You have hands raised, you have Q&A stuff, so I'm not going to hold folks. I'm going to let them fire away, okay?
Okay.
All right, I'm going to hand the mic first to Andrea. Andrea, the stage is yours.
Hi. First of all, I know everybody says this, but your voice is so calming. I could listen to you talk about nothing, and it just is like, it's so nice. It's so nice. So it's beautiful. And I love that you share with that voice how to be in touch with your innermost self and how to be able to shine through that. So leadership in this holistic thing. So I was in the military, served in pretty high leadership positions, but no one ever said that it was at a cost of my holistic self. And so after years and years and years and years of doing what the mediocre white man has told me I needed to do in order to chase the crystal shining ball to get promoted and this and this and that, on the
Yeah.
outside in the civilian world with real regular normal thinking people, it doesn't work that way, right? So not only having to reclaim what leadership looks like for me, and then how I want to do that for everyone else that I end up leading. Your Because this isn't the first blaze that you've done, right? And you've had a couple of sessions within this one. Yeah. And it's just been like, it's transformed my thought process on leadership. And I thought I knew a lot. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I love the fact that you just showed up in your bed chilling. I love it. Be you, sis. Love being all of it. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
And thank you for your service too, Andrea, as well.
Thank you.
Thank you,
And I
Andrea.
do want to say too, like, pointing out what Andrea said, like, what I heard too was context of environment. So, like with military, it's looking at literally environment. Like there's a microcosm, but then there's a macrocosm, right? So like what in that environment is going to be praised and what is going to be pushed upon in order for I mean, you are directing like so many people, and there's like
Absolutely.
hardly any room for error. It's going to be very metal like, and even like in Chinese astrology, like that's it. Like we think about metal and wood, like when it comes to war and things like that. and it serves a purpose. It serves a meaning, like to the collective, right, and for the whole functioning of it. But then at the same time, yeah, I do see, if that's what's going to be praised, that's how you get the promotions and all that jazz. Like, there's no way. Like, you can take a medication, you got shot, you can do this, and then like for all the other health things, and then that, that's a way that I can see though that people do that, like even outside of the military. Like
Mhm.
the stories that I would hear from other women, especially Black women, like, and I heard it throughout all week, like, oh, I have to do this in order for me to get to this position, or to try to like get this promotion, or to negotiate or be at the table for whatever. And like, it's in that creating of the mask in order for you to like, it's almost like this is how I can advance. And like what I wanted to show is you can still advance and actually be more sustainable and in a more holistically healthy way if you can identify what's your natural being in states, and then that way what environment is going to be conducive to that. And so does that mean that you can change the environment from within a company or even in your own business? Yes. Some may have it more difficulty than doing that than others, and if that's the case, then that's when the invitation to join a different organization may come. And so I kind of like look at it as a blending in that way.
That was so, so good. Thank you. Yes, being in the military is a whole different world, right? Like the expectations, and like you were saying, you're very direct. No one, you take the shot, take the pill, drink water, drive on, suck up the suck, right? Like there is no femininity and the mask. And yeah, having to not only growing up with parents who were in the military, so that's part of the childhood piece of it too, right? And then thinking that you can go in the military and do this and do that, do that. And it's just, there's layers upon layers of letting go of who I had to be in order to survive and move up in the way that you're told go to college, get a job, retire, da 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 da. The military has that same type of mindset, and that's just not the way the world works in a loving, compassionate, giving to people, and receiving from people, right? The military just isn't that. That's not what the mission is. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you, Andrea. Uh, so good. And we have, okay, some of these I'm gonna show twice at once. Okay, let me just do that now. So there is, it shows up a couple of times. All right. So one person, China asked, or China says, I had the same score in 3 categories. LOL. Am I well balanced or all over the place? And I'm going to show that Winnie experienced the same thing. She says, is it common to have 3 really high scores in areas that seem different from each other?
Okay, so actually, like, I'm glad that came up too, so I can verbally do it because I was typing to Winnie in the chat about that. So, one context, like this is meant short time frame, so this number of statements is very short. Like in the perfect authentic leadership thing, that's a lot longer. Like there's more statements that can help fine tune and tweak it a little bit more. And that so that's like functional logistics. Now, even if you were to take the more elaborate one, um, and that came up, that's when I start asking and seeing where about like what's going on in your life that it's almost like you're calling on the archetypes of several of them to come in and predominate at the same time. So this is think these are situations where, say for instance, like you naturally may want to be more into that earthy archetype, like that's your strong suit, right? But because of situations going on right now, you're having to take lead and be more in charge. You're having to of the wood type of archetype, and then like, oh, I got to go through all of these details, analysis, put together systems and all this stuff, metal, right? Like, and so you're calling on all of the characteristics of these other archetypes to use as of right now.
So like this this is why I look at it this way. Like all of them are present within all of us, even if for some they said they had zero and some for some of them. I'm very curious if there was like the elaborate one, if any of them came up. But like, because each of these are present within us. And it's like, it's that time when I think of the women who are like, all of a sudden, they're just going, I don't even know who I am. And this might be in situations within companies or even within families or relationships, especially if they're like, I just became this mom and then 17, 18 years later, they're like, I don't know what to do with myself because they don't know who they are. Or this that also comes up around perimenopause, going into menopause, because that's a huge transition for many women. So like that type of thinking will come up. And so that's where it is that I see that we called on these archetypes to get through a situation that we're going through right now. However, sometimes we might be in that situation so long that it almost kind of start like in the mask, like the movie The Mask, when he was trying to take it off and you saw it like sticking to him and all of that stuff. It's almost like it kind of melded into you, but it's not really your natural state. And so if there's a way that you can kind of look at the current situation, current landscape, what is the stuff that actually comes really, really easy to me? What is the stuff that I actually really enjoy doing? What are the things that I'm procrastinating on? Because sometimes the things that you're procrastinating on are oftentimes the things that you might need support in, meaning like you can delegate it, or if you're shooting yourself on it, like, does it really mean that you actually need to have it done? So then, like, you can start to explore, why do I feel like that has to be done anyway? Because it may be a delegate or maybe a delete. And so that's a way to begin to like take the environment, explore it, and then be able to step into more of which of the archetypes is going to be more predominating for you, while getting the support from the other ones, so that you can see that all of three, four of them don't have to be happening all at the same time. And then physically, that's when you start getting many of them get like really confusing symptoms. Like it might be headaches sometimes and depression some other times. And then like, oh, I have no appetite, or oh, I'm binge eating, or oh, my hormones are all over the place. So physically, it looks like you're all over the place as well. So it's like mirroring what's actually happening on the outside.
Thank you so much, Denicia. And that makes sense actually, because that caused me to reflect on why I'm so heavy on wood and metal. But it's a state in my life, and I'm sure if I was in a more a state of like less warrior needs and more zen, I probably would have a lot of my social balance, like empathetic, whatever come up. That actually makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
Okay, so this question is from Alexis.
Mhm.
And she says, I always love your workshops. How do you conceptualize your games and playbooks for these very complex topics? It's a good one.
Oh man, this came up last time, Casey. You remember?
Uh-huh.
Somebody asked me that, and I was like, I never really thought
It's
about
the
that. Like,
Playhouse that time. Yeah.
yeah, like, okay, so typically, okay, so this is usually a process, at least this is what I see that I do, is I start with like, what's my overall mind? Like, what's my overall mind point? Like, I want to get them from thinking this to thinking this way. And then, okay, well, if they do that, then how would they really feel about it? And so then now I'm getting in the mental emotional part of it. And then next thing I'm going to ask is like, okay, so if I were to infuse this with play, if I were to see this imagery, or if I was to watch a movie and learn this, then like what would that look like? Like what is something that's already out there that actually carries the same message? And then I use that to actually be the one that's gonna like carry it for me. So like I'll go ahead and I'll present that first. For those that are like putting together courses and things like that, you saw it, you experienced it, that like I went with an activity first and then I integrate it. And that's intentional. So then that way it's like it's dealing with the brain. If I were to present something up front, your brain's automatically going to tell you reasons why it's not going to work and why you can't do it. And that's because it's already built on habit. Like it's trying to create habits so it doesn't have to do it. So like it's totally fine. It's doing its job. So what I'm doing though is I'm asking you to experience things first. And then that way you get into it and then embody it in it and experience it, come to your own conclusions. And then I will further integrate it, adding in what the intention of the whole transformation of the workshop is into that point, like point by point. So that's typically what I'll do. Like I'll kind of like do it like that. And I'm not gonna lie, sometimes literally I've pulled in puzzles. Like we sat and did digital puzzles for things, and then that taught like this whole broader lesson. And they were like, wait, what? Like not even realizing that they were doing it. So there's a lot of things that are out there that can actually carry the visual and carry the action part of it for you. It's just thinking about what would that look like to convey it.
Ashe. All right, y'all. We're at the end, and this is about to be the last session right after this before the summit wraps. Okay, we're wrapping with the Blaze Business Awards. Denicia, I'm gonna say it one more time. I'm gonna say it again. I don't know when this Alexa app is coming out, but your voice is giving. It always gives.
Expect this email being like, Casey, what do you mean by this? Explain that to me.
Listen. So how can we follow your journey for all that's coming, Denicia?
Oh my gosh. So I would say I'm going to do better about email. So I'm committing to like actually emailing. And so if you get on the list, and then also like LinkedIn and Instagram are going to be my predominating two, I believe, or maybe YouTube. So like, I would say just get on the email, and then that way I'll just like direct you and be like, hey, check me out over here.
So, all right, y'all, keep it locked with my favorite scientists. Okay, so much is coming. Her freebie is available. You can click it in the reception where it says download speaker freebies, or you can go to the app, and this inside of the app under the Blaze Virtual Summit section. But either way, she is a brilliant mind to follow. Thank you so much for pouring into us so playfully in our summits.
Thank you so much. It was good seeing you, of course, as always. And everybody else, thank you.
Thanks, y'all. All right, y'all. So last session. As promised, we are giving a lot of, thank you so much, Auntie Yvonne, for dropping the freebies link. We are giving a lot of money talks, right? At least one every day. And so we're ending the session intentionally with a panel, a finance panel called Beating the Recession, right on the nose. No metaphors, no parables, like straight up panel discussion on beating the recession from 3 Black women in finance. Not accounting, no knock on accounting, right? At all, right? But accounting is counting, right? Whereas finance is looking at your money and knowing how to grow it, okay? So that is the last session of the summit. Meet us over there. And then after that, we're getting straight into the Blaze Business Awards for 2023. So much fun. See y'all on the other side.